So the first thing is, does anybody volunteer to take notes for today? For our people that are unable to make it? Takers? I know we're limited on staff over here.
I can do it.
You want to take it? Is that what I heard?
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay, first item is standing updates. Honestly, it was a long weekend for us here, so I can't recall anything specifically for myself. I know that there's been a lot of conversation about what is it called? The video script, the intro video script. So that's been an ongoing conversation. That's it for me. Anybody else?
Yeah, regarding the video. So I really hope that this week we'll be able to start working on the actual video with Patrick's contractor. I'll let you all know once it happens.
That's all right. Any other status updates?
I added a new Docker file comparison section to the docs. And I also did some own independent research on like a more in-depth comparison between S2I and like Buildpacks. I saw your blog post, Javier. Like I think you did uh, like a couple of blog posts on how to write S2I, assemble and build scripts here. So I sort of used that as a starting point and did like some own investigation on uh, like I know we have those features listed on that column, but I wanted a more in-depth comparison between the two. And I don't know if we want to put that as like a reference page somewhere for others who may be interested, uh, and maybe expand on that with like other tooling. Like I know we've talked about having like a more in-depth section on a Docker file versus Buildpacks comparison. I don't know if you also want to do it for S2I.
Okay. Do we want to maybe add that to the agenda, and we can go more into depth on what that really means or might mean? All right, well, we typed that up. Let's see, that's all of us. User research, I don't know if I've heard anything. Does anybody know if there's an update on that? Cool. We'll cross that off for today. I know Natalie said she's gonna not be able to attend this. Moving on to our new little section here. So this will probably take us a little bit of time to get through since this is the first time we're doing it, but the still and discussion issues and PRs. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, I also don't know how we want to do it because like these tail issues are a lot. So I put the filter as like things that have not been updated in the last week, which is a lot. This could probably be refined, and we want to figure out how we want to sort this. So it's sorted by most recently updated. I don't know if you want to do
Recently updated, maybe.
we could also do that to sort of like see which issues have not been touched in a long time, and whether they still need to be there. Um,
Okay, yeah, this is definitely quite a bit. I don't know. Let's take a stab at a couple of them, and then we could kind of get a feel for it.
yeah.
Refine it as we go. I guess the first one, let's start with this one. Automate workflows for GitHub issue triage. So this is definitely outdated if we're pointing to a doc. I think if anything, we have the new triage section within the contributors guide. So we'd update that.
Should we close this and point to that triage guide in the community repository?
So I guess I'm trying to understand what the purpose of this is, because it might still be applicable, but just pointing to a new thing, right? So we issue new labels, and then we would issue things stale, which is kind of what you're doing right now as far as filtering goes, right? Not labeling, but at least acknowledging their existence.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I don't know about you, but I feel like this might not actually be relevant anymore if we have this new process where we're going through stale issues or through like, yeah, stagnant issues.
So should we just document this and close it, or
I think so.
okay?
This is community. Is this talking for the entire?
I guess.
Yeah. So I think saying something like, since the inception of this issue, sub-teams taken on the responsibility own set of repos with their own processes. Follow up. Stale issues. Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right, good. Kick that one.
I think this one was also like a discussion like needed where people were a bit opposed to having like a one versus the other or something. I remember Terrence had some thoughts.
Okay, this is to highlight people's contributions. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we do this at least for code contributions in the release notes. We've added that since this issue was created. I don't know if we're looking for recognizing other forms of contributions as well. Why don't we kick it in regards, or sorry, in the form of asking whether we feel like this is still something relevant, and note that we've, again, kind of added contributors to the release notes. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Attribute? I don't know if that's the right term. I'm gonna comment that for now, and then we'll see if anybody cares to come back to it. All right, maybe we'll go through 5 at most, and then we can jump to
Makes
something else.
sense. And these won't come up the next time because we would have just updated them.
Yep.
So this also seemed, I don't know if this is like a learning team thing or like a co-team thing that we should just assign it to them, and I don't know how this works.
Yeah, I would definitely say let's break this issue down into issues for each relevant team.
Yeah.
Right. So is that something you can take on, or if not, I can do it.
Is it just pinging people and breaking it down into individual repositories? So life cycle to implementation.
Yeah, life cycle, pack, and then learning, I guess, if we want to do org level
Yeah.
stuff.
Cool.
You cool with taking that one on?
Can you assign it to me?
Maybe. Yes, I can.
Thanks.
I think so. I thought I did. There we go. Go. And we're actually getting work done. This should be called the working group. All right. This one, I think we want to transfer over to a discussion, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm not gonna assign everything to you, so I'll take this one.
Yeah. I think the general consensus was to not leave long-standing issues open. That's why, like, things which are just tracking integrations, like both ways, should just be.
Okay, where's the next discussion? Oh, it's convenient. Where is it at? I lost it already.
Next one.
Cool, so I got that one. Was that 5 already?
Think one more, one last.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
this
this one
done.
will go for it.
This is done, right?
Yes. I guess I cheated a little bit.
I mean, I
My
see
private very different than what we have, but yes, yeah, you are right. From a technical standpoint, this is done. I'm cool close. All right.
Nice.
Man, I've never been so productive. All right, so we're I guess in December 2020, so that's not bad. So we've got, what, 6 months? All right. Go ahead and stop sharing. Oh, did we do PRs? Do we need to do PRs?
There are just 2 if you want to, up to you. I think one is the inline Buildpacks one, which is blocked.
Yep.
The other one is this pull request around versioning rules, which has been open since forever. Which we probably should merge.
I think I pinged Emily.
Mm,
She wanted to review this. That was a year ago. All right, I'm gonna give her one more chance, and then if not, we'll close it next time. See if she replies.
I think that's it.
Awesome. Okay, unlabeled issues. We do have two. Polished contributor guide. That's something I created for myself. So I'll add that to our team. And the other one is add bomb to layer content metadata.
That should be blocked on uh, the respective spec, lifecycle, etc. PRs.
Okay. Do we know what team is handling this one?
This would first go through the spec, then through implementation.
Okay. Yeah,
Then,
that's,
yeah,
I think that makes sense. Cool. All right, added that to the implementation team. So done with that. All right. Phew. All right, now into the actual agenda items. So in-depth comparison with other container build tools. So from what I gathered, based on what you've looked at for S2I, the thought is whether or not we need like a full in-depth comparison versus just a features matrix for S2I, similar to what we envision on doing for something like Docker files. Is that right? I don't know what the market share looks like for S2I. I definitely don't think it's as great as Dockerfile, right? In my head, I wonder if it's worth like taking up that real estate and adding that sort of complexity on the website itself, as opposed to where I do see a lot of value would be like a blog post, right? Like a blog post comparison where if anybody's coming from S2I and says like, how does this compare to S2I? Then we could at least point them to that, right? Like a pretty coherent blog post. I don't know what your feelings are on that.
sounds good to me. I mean, I think all I need is like some place where both the technologies are compared. So I think in the blogs that you wrote, it was just focused on S2I, like how does S2I do things. But I think the ending was um, like I think in the second blog post you had a bunch of goals, like it should be a minimal image or something like that, and by the end of it, you achieved all of them.
Yeah.
Uh, so, uh, like that then begs the question, like in which cases is Buildpacks, or why is Buildpacks a better option than S2I, or are there still some cases where you would want to use S2I?
Yeah. So I think for sure the blog posts that I created were in no way to compare it to Buildpacks. They were essentially just like little research documents, right, for myself that I decided to share. But yeah, so like in that vein, they're not intended to be used that way. So I do think that there'd be a lot of value to having the direct comparison, right? I think at least, I don't know if it's changed. I actually wanted to ask you whether the blog posts and like I guess the outcomes, the findings were still relevant to the state today. They were okay. So Yeah, because I think the biggest gotcha that I found was definitely the run image.
Temporal runtime, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The issue around incremental builds with minimal images is still closed, and they suggest that they use like a CI pipeline to do, to do builds based on what you want. Like you can create one build that does one thing, then chain it on top of another one and another one.
Yeah, yeah.
What you want rather than yeah. So I guess that we don't need Dockerfile. Do we want an in-depth comparison on that, or is that also a blog post? In
Mm,
this case, like there are already a bunch of blog posts.
yeah. I don't know. I feel it'd be nice to get Joe's input on this, but I definitely think it's warranted in a way, because that is what people are ultimately looking at and comparing it to, right? So I think even, I don't know, I think even like the features page should be slightly redesigned so that it's more relevant in that comparison. Because like right now, what is it, like above the fold, right? Like it's just a list of features. And I think even one of the feedbacks that we got early on that we just never got around to was like, these aren't like actionable, right? Like, yeah, you've got this high level line item, I guess, and then a slight description. But like, if you wanted to learn more about like, what does it really mean to be modular? Like, it'd be nice to have either a blog post or some additional documentation to point to, right? And really dig into it as to what it means. But so this is like above the fold, right? But like the comparison thing is like way down here. So I don't know exactly how, but it would be nice if this was redesigned where you have almost like a table of contents without it being a table of contents of like all the stuff that's in this page, right? Like features, comparisons, and maybe especially highlighted there, like the Docker files. Like how does it compare to Docker files?
I think I have another agenda item, but okay. So maybe we should put this under an epic, or or just an issue which needs discussion. I don't know, because I can see a couple of different items. One is like a redesign. One is like, I guess, if you want to put time into researching all the different Dockerfile tools, because I know we've been asked like, hey, how does this compare to Canico or something like that? So not just Docker build, but like, I don't know, build kit or Canico, and put that under one category, and like source to image tools in another separate category.
I just had the thought, what if we did do more in-depth comparison per tooling? And it was, instead of this chart, like I really do like this chart as a quick glance, but I do wonder if like either added to this somehow, like where you could, like, let's say that you have tabs, right? And then you could be like, okay, how does Cloud Native Buildpacks compare to, and like Docker files, the one like that by default selected, and then you could like click on S2I and it like replaces the content, right? It's a different tab. And then it goes through like all the details of how it compares to S2I, JIB, Co, and so forth, right? And so then we could cram more information into like a small section, but it's all easily accessible.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, like how those tech comparison websites have like choose two, and then they have like a list of pros and
Ooh,
cons.
I like that, yeah. And then maybe for each item that we do notice, like, yeah, I like that idea, like the choose two comparison thing.
I guess
Okay.
in this case, we'll want to keep build packs as a constant and just
Right. Don't use our tool to compare Docker file against S2I.
yes.
Uh, cool. And I mean, obviously there's some things on here that are probably a little bit biased. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's probably some stuff on here that our tooling might not actually make the most sense for, right? So like for base images or OS images, like maybe that's worth explaining a little bit more and being like very honest and transparent.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think this would be more than enough work for an epic. I think it would involve a redesign, doing research for each of these comparisons. Uh, I
So what is the let's maybe break it down. So the epic itself is features redesign, right? Okay, I guess part of that would be make comparison matrix into what is that thing like? I guess what is the side-by-side comparison?
yeah, I guess I'm trying to find like a good website for reference. Uh,
Features to more information.
maybe something like this. So like there's this tagshare.io which has like decisions, pros and cons, stats, description, alternatives, and integrations.
Okay.
Right. Don't know if those look like good.
You want to share that real quick?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
send? Oh yeah.
I can, yeah.
Ooh, the battle between Eclipse and IntelliJ. Like,
So if you check, like, there's a decisions thing. I guess this just has a lot of ads, but there's a pros and cons thing. There's a stats page.
yeah, I'm not sure that I like this particular layout. I guess the reason why this might make sense though is because there's some things that don't translate over, right? But I kind of like the idea of when a side-by-side comparison actually have the same item on both sides, right? Like this best in class ID kind of stuff, like that doesn't seem
Yeah, yeah,
like anything that we would have like where only one of the tools has that thing, right? It's almost like I envision still having like this matrix kind of concept, right? So like envision just coordinated build packs and Docker files almost side by side like this. And then maybe a little bit more description about like what does advanced caching really mean here, right? So it's not like just yes and no's or like little checkboxes, but actual like information about it.
yeah. Maybe like I think one other thing that's come up like is concrete examples for each of them. I don't know if that's worth the effort, but like maybe just an example where how build packs do those like advanced caching or like bill of materials or what does it even look like like materially? Maybe.
So I guess the way I had initially thought about it was for bill of materials, for instance, right? Like if it says a little bit more details and then like, let's say either a learn more or just bill of materials is a linkable thing. You click on it and it takes you to the docs page that has like, this is how you add bill of materials and this is what the actual structure looks like, right? Either on the label, I think right now, but in the future it might be a file. Would that be sufficient or do you think something different?
I mean, I think that's one thing, and then there's things like reproducibility. Like, great, you have reproducible SHAs. Now, what does that get you? So maybe speaking like during build time, you don't have to push layers. During runtime, you don't have to pull layers. So the like side effects you get from having these features. Um, I don't know if
I have a page for that. I don't know how good it is. It's like hidden way down here somewhere. Right, so I don't know. To me, this doesn't, like this could be improved to be more consumable.
yeah.
But again, I guess this is what I would expect to be linked to. And then this should be more, I guess, with the mindset that they're coming from something like this, where like they know nothing about it, right? And they're just like clicking on what does reproducibility mean? And then this is explaining it to them in a very like elementary level.
Yeah. Guess we're over time. I had one other nice thing to share, which I found out like over the last few days, which was this pasted a link in the learning team around this comparison, this website, which has persona specific um, like pages for documentation. Like you can, it has like a page which says we speak tech or we speak marketing or like something like that, and you click on that and it gives you that flavor of the website. It's like words
Wow.
that matter to you.
So if you click on exec, you just get all the buzzwords.
I guess. Or like the value proposition for an executive. What's the value proposition for an executive to use this thing? I think this is something we may want to bring up, like in in that conversation we had last time around like a more growth and marketing focused team
Yeah.
to take ownership of things like these and see how we can.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, so we're not talking about like the documentation itself, right? We're talking about like the landing page. Am I getting that right? Okay. That's interesting.
Like we discussed this even when creating the video, right? Like the video cannot capture all the personas we have.
Yeah.
So like if you are an app developer, you come here, you click this, and it tells you the benefits you get. If you're an operator, it tells you the benefits you get. And
Okay.
but I don't know if that makes sense.
It's definitely like it sounds fun. Um, to play around with the idea of something like this because I think this is the first time I've ever seen this sort of concept. Right? I don't know if you've been to other websites where they like say, "Who are you? Let me tailor the marketing just for you." It's pretty cool. The only, I guess, other downside I could think of is like the overhead of maintaining essentially four different home landing pages.
Yeah.
Is it worth the ROI? And maybe. We definitely have that problem. All right, so this is really cool. I know we're over time. I guess let's think about it and see, maybe come up with a proposal. As far as if we step back for the epic for the feature redesign, I guess the thing from there is just creating an epic. Who wants to take that one on? Do you have time, or do you want me to?
I can create the epic and I guess the features. I'll try to find an example website that captures what you were saying, like just
Okay.
like those matrices with the same thing on both the side. And
Yeah, they exist. I know I've seen them before.
yeah, I can't find any link handy right now, but yeah.
Cool, cool. All right, well, appreciate it. And yeah, I think we'll see each other online then.
Yes. So yeah.
Have a good evening.